What is a COO, a Chief Operating Officer? And are you ready to hire one? Do you find them inside your company or do you hire them from outside? And how do you ensure the person that you put into position really organizes and helps grow your company? Well, that's what we're going to cover today in the Built to Grow podcast. My experience with COOs, finding them, grooming them, coaching them, started with the CEOs in my companies and the hundreds that I've worked with inside the companies in my advisory program, and also the COOs that we use in the VC world that we pull into a company to help those companies get organized and grow after investing in that company. And I remember implicitly, the very first time that I thought about hiring a COO, it was both crushing, I guess you could say, and exciting at the exact same time. I was torn between knowing I needed help and accepting the fact that I am not enough to grow this company myself. It was causing me so much stress in my life, but luckily I wasn't alone. I mean, I discussed this with my board of directors several times over and over and over again over about a 6-month period. And if you don't have a trusted source of knowledge like that, whether it's a board of directors or even just a person that's been where you are and achieved what you want to achieve and knows how to help you avoid the landmines, but if you don't have that kind of resource in your life, then I'll be that source for you today. And I'll tell you that you might want to consider hiring a COO if you spend more time managing than improving your company, or if a second hand is needed to execute overall mission and manage people and tasks, or if you're at a point where you can't meet expectations to scale your company, or if you have investors and you need another face in front of them. And of course, all that goes knowing that number one, you could afford one, right? And number two, you know how to set them up for success, which we're going to touch on today, the expectations of a COO. Then again, you might want to consider hiring a COO if, those things sound appealing to you guys. Now, here's the 30,000-foot view of what a COO does in a company, and then we'll get a little bit more specific. Number one, they manage the current operations of a business. Number two, they drive the future growth of a business. And number three, they constantly have a finger on the finances, the people, the customers, the prospects, and everything that affects those areas. But I want to go deeper. I don't want to just do a 30,000-foot view. I want to go really deep here. A COO is hired by and reports directly by you, right? They report to you, the COO or the president or the owner of the company. And they're responsible for carrying out the company policies and managing the actions needed to reach the company targets. They're usually held accountable for pretty much all areas of the company, and they become your bridge to staff so that you could avoid the smaller details of managing, day-to-day operations that slow us all down as CEOs, which allows you to work more exclusively on the larger picture and the long-term focus of the company and the brand. Also, a COO keeps you up to date on everything and prepares reports on the effectiveness of the company's policies and the operations and the marketing and the programs. And they help you with your mission, and they keep you appraised of the company climate, and they identify problems and solutions, and they communicate with your team and vendors and governing agencies and investors if you have any. And they monitor long and short-term goals and projections, and they locate and hire a new team, and they manage the current team, and they maintain a high level of ethics amongst everybody in your organization. And I'm really just sharing with you the things that are important for CEOs that I work with. Your list is going to be different, right? Depending on your industry, depending on what you personally need in order to have your company go to the next level, and as a CEO or the owner of your organization. Another important fact, for us at least, is that a COO needs to be so tuned into your company and your competition and your team that they anticipate challenges and trends that you might need. Now, to be that kind of person who could handle all that, I would personally be searching for somebody who has COO experience or somebody with such strong skills in those areas that I could train them just with a little bit of effort. I could train them. And that might be somebody on your team, or it might be going outside of my company or my industry and bringing somebody in who has that experience. Both of those scenarios have pros and cons to them, and they could both work. They could also both, fail and kill you if you do it wrong. But in addition to all that, I want somebody who, in their nature, and this is so important, in their heart, in their soul, in their personal values, is ingrained things like honesty and accountability and straightforwardness when we talk, and clear thinking and integrity and leadership and dedication. And they absolutely must strictly adhere to deadlines. and have strong relationship skills and be goal focused and be a clear, good communicator, right? And by the way, a good communicator does not mean they just know how to communicate. They know how to communicate to the person they're speaking to, not just to me as the CEO, not just to investors, not just to the team, but to everybody, to vendors, to everybody. So they're going to be able to change their level of communication so that they communicate clearly to everybody. They need to be administratively competent and be able to live by the company vision and values. They've got to meet those values that are ingrained in them with our company values. And before you move forward to the COO, you need to be crystal clear on their responsibilities. I mean, that goes said for every relationship that you have. But a COO, since they are your right hand, they've got to be, you've got to be super clear on this. Remember, a COO is a big role. And a strong COO is going to expect that you already have a strong company, that you already have a drive to grow, and you also have some systems in place that they can now build upon, right? You don't have to have everything in place because that's their responsibility. But you have to have momentum, which means some systems in place, some greatness already pushing you forward. But also, they're going to want to know what you expect from them and what they could expect from you in return. And all of that needs to be put into writing in a clear COO employment agreement, right? Everybody needs to know exactly, prior to entering this relationship, exactly in writing what's expected of everybody. Like if they dedicate their life to helping grow the company, they need security. They need a clear vision on what you're both growing together and why you're growing it. Now, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. And there's a lot more to hiring a great COO, but I think that at least gives you enough to think about and get you moving in the right direction. But if you're considering hiring a COO, or even if you're not considering hiring a COO yet, and you just want to be far more organized in your company, then you could start by making a list of the top tasks that a COO would take off your plate to make you more effective as a leader and at the same time grow the company. Just the act of making that list is going to get you moving in the right direction. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, then right now, while it's fresh on your mind, jot down in the chat section 1 or 2 tasks that you could hand to a COO that would make you more effective. And if you're listening on iTunes or on another platform, then write that down on a piece of paper before you move on to anything else. And I promise you'll feel more clear, and you'll already have this super great list to get started with, which will eventually turn into a job description and maybe even the foundation of your COO employment contract. So start making that list right now. Also, subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you like this kind of content, or if you want more information on how to locate and hire and manage C-level team members. And remember, take the Built to Grow review. It's at builttogrow.com or builttogrowreview.com. And because there, you'll be able to find out exactly what aspects of your company are the current weakest links that, if fixed, will help you scale faster and more effectively. And after you go through that review, you're going to see insights. Just the act of going through the review, just the act of answering those questions is going to help uncover insights on how to fix anything that might be out of whack and holding you back. It's free. It's at builttogrowreview.com. Okay, see you next time on the Built to Grow podcast.
No matter what stage of growth you're at, we all need an unbiased review of what's working and also what might not be working anymore in our business. Because the greatest cause of stagnation in any company, the reason most companies hit plateaus in their growth, is because they fail to see the roadblocks that stop momentum in its tracks.